Good afternoon. My name is Leanna Levine Reisner, and I'm a co-founder and the network director of Plant-Powered Metro New York. We're an organization committed to your empowerment, helping you access critical information about how food and lifestyle impact our health. But we don't stop there. We want to help you make change in a joyful and sustainable way. Today, we're doing something a little different than usual, talking about the intersection of pharmaceuticals, long-term health, and nutrition. As nearly everyone here knows, over the past few years, weight loss drugs have received enormous, almost unprecedented attention in the mainstream media. GLP-1 agonists like Ozempic have been heralded as the medical sensation of the decade, the end of obesity. As conscious consumers of healthcare, we're curious about the long-term benefits and drawbacks of these drugs, and of course, how nutrition and other lifestyle choices can help or hinder meaningful weight loss. To answer these questions, we are so pleased to have with us Dr. Michael Greger, founder of nutritionfacts.org, a New York Times bestselling author, founding member and fellow of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and an internationally recognized speaker on nutrition, food safety, and public health issues. And earlier this year, Dr. Greger published the book, Ozempic, Risks, Benefits, and Natural Alternatives to GLP-1 Weight Loss Drugs, in which he explores the science behind these medications, their effectiveness, their safety, and what happens next. So Dr. Greger, it is a pleasure, always a pleasure, to have you take time out of your busy schedule to teach us the many things you know. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I love Plant-Powered Metro New York. Woo!
Thank you. Let's jump right in. So I want to acknowledge that our listeners may be coming in with really different interests and experiences. Some here may already be on a GLP-1 agonist and they want to understand what's next. Others might be considering it, and still others may not really want to be considering it, and they're concerned about side effects and they're looking for other solutions. So let's start at the beginning. What do these drugs do? Why are they working the way they are?
Yeah, so these drugs mimic a hormone called GLP-1. The gastrointestinal tract is actually the largest hormone secreting gland in your entire body. Releases 20 different hormones. About 1 in every 100 cells that line our digestive tract acts as a nutrient sensor and can secrete hormones accordingly, including glucagon like peptide 1, GLP-1. The primary stimuli for secreting GLP-1 are meals rich in fat and carbohydrates. And GLP-1's main action is to signal satiety to the brain. This results in a reduction of our appetite, so we don't, eat too many donuts. GLP-1 also slows down digestion, delaying the rate at which food leaves our stomach. So it helps us feel fuller for longer. Also can help with blood sugar control. In fact, they were originally developed to treat diabetes, but when they saw so many people losing weight on these drugs, they decided to market it specifically for weight loss.
Great. So then who are they best for? Tell us more about, where they've been getting the best benefit.
Well, so obesity so dramatically decreases one's lifespan, reducing life expectancy by as much as 6 or 7 years, that like bariatric surgery, it should be considered as the last resort for those who are unable or unwilling to treat the cause of their obesity, right? The problem is people eat too much crap. So anything that gets people to eat less crap will be helpful, but you don't need $1,000 drug to decrap your diet. The drug mechanism, there are natural ways to promote GLP-1 agonist activity. There are better ways to lose weight, but if you are not going to lose weight in any other way, then because obesity is so devastating, the benefits may well be worth the risks.
Got it. So let's start then with some of these natural ways of getting the body to achieve a healthy weight. We know we talk a lot about nutrition, but I'm sure we have some viewers here who don't know some of the basics that would help with a healthy weight diet.
Well, in general, so GLP-1 aside, the diet that has been shown in the peer-reviewed medical literature, which is the gold standard by which all medical decisions are made, the diet that has shown the most weight loss of 6 to 12 months compared to any other diet in history that didn't restrict portion size or enforce exercise, just eating, was a whole food plant-based diet. So this is the broad study I talk about in my book, How Not to Diet. And so that is the healthiest way to lose weight. But specifically through GLP-1, there are 3 spices that have been shown to boost GLP-1, and explaining why they all have been shown in randomized controlled trials to decrease weight. Turmeric, cinnamon, and cayenne pepper. Vinegar, also at doses of 2 teaspoons 3 times a day. Never straight. You don't want to burn your esophagus, but you can dilute in water or sprinkle it on a salad or something. Also boosts GLP-1 and causes weight loss. And 2 more, groats. So intact whole grains. So oat groats, rye groats, barley groats can suppress appetite for up to 12 hours due to their GLP-1 boost. And finally, dark green leafy vegetables contain what are called thylakoids, which are the chlorophyll-rich membranes in leaves. It slows fat absorption, and that can boost GLP-1 by basically dragging fat all the way down to the terminal ileum, the end of the small intestine, where most of our GLP-1 cell or secreting cells are located.
That's amazing. So it's a combination of GLP-1 boosting that can happen naturally and also having these fiber-rich foods that are satisfying. Is that a piece of this?
Oh, well, there's so many. So I think I talk about 16 different ways in which healthy diets can help lose weight. So one of which is high fiber diet. They have more. So they have more. So plant foods tend to have more water and fiber, both of which have 0 calories, and so they bulk up the food. So like fruits are about 90% water. Vegetables about 80% water. Even some of the drier plant foods like beans and whole grains are like 70% water, and they're packed with fiber, so it fills you up, and they're calorically dilute, so there's a few calories per pound, per plateful, per mouthful, per bowlful, and so if you look at caloric density, the most calorically dense foods tend to be highly processed foods, oil, animal products, and the least calorically dense foods are fruits and vegetables. So much so that you literally could not overeat if you wanted to, right? I mean, I think, I talk about how, if you had, 2 pints of strawberry ice cream, which would fill up your stomach, that's 2,000 calories right there, right? It would fill up your whole daily caloric allowance. Whereas if you were actually trying to eat 2,000 calories worth of strawberries themselves, fresh strawberries, it would be 44 cups of strawberries, right? I mean, you only can fit about 4 cups of food in your stomach at one time. So it's like filling your stomach to bursting 11 times a day to even maintain your weight on strawberries. Of course, I'm not telling anyone to eat strawberries, but it just shows there's some foods that are impossible to overeat. Like you think dark green leafy vegetables, you could have literally like wheelbarrows full and you wouldn't be able to maintain your weight. Just because you just can't get that many calories in. So caloric density is one of the reasons why whole healthy plant foods can be filling with fewer calories. And then there's all sorts of neat, interesting ways in which eating healthier can lose weight. But interesting, GLP-1 is one of them. And I talked about years ago, before Ozempic, all this, I was talking about this obscure gastrointestinal hormone called GLP-1 and why we should be boosting it. But now the world is caught up now that it's $1 trillion industry.
Yeah, you were ahead of your time for sure. I am curious though, now that it is the $1 trillion industry that it is, we've learned a lot in these last few years about how Ozempic and its compatriots, how they're absorbed by the body. What are the side effects? What are people experiencing in addition to, of course, being able to lose weight and maybe maintaining better blood sugar?
So, I mean, one of the most important things to recognize is that that the drug stopped working after a year. So, there's these 4-year trials, all the weight loss is in the first year. And even though for the next 3 years, you're injecting the drug every single week, not a single pound of weight is lost beyond that. And so basically, you injecting this drug for the rest of your life and you're not losing any more weight. And in all the major drug trials, people started out obese on average and ended up on average obese. So they stalled out at obese. So they're going to be obese the rest of their lives, taking this drug for the rest of their life. So it's not a cure for obesity in most people. Now, being less obese has so many benefits, even if you're still obese, that, one could justify taking the drug. But it's important to understand going into it what you're facing. And most people stop these drugs within 2 months, even if it's paid for by insurance, even if it's free. And so most stop these drugs within 2 months because of side effects, predominantly nausea and vomiting. Now, serious side effects like bowel obstruction, pancreatitis are rare. And again, because obesity is so bad for our health, that even if it did have some of these more concerning side effects, like increasing risk of pancreatic cancer or thyroid cancer, it wouldn't matter, because you really want to cut down on cancer, you lose weight, because obesity increases the risk of a dozen different cancers. And so losing weight with these drugs would presumably decrease your cancer rate overall. Now, of course, if there was a third way, if we could actually decrease if we could actually achieve a healthy weight without these drugs, then we get the best of both worlds, which is what I would recommend people try.
Gotcha. There's also something that you've reported on in the past about the impact of these drugs on the gut microbiome. Can you share more about that?
Oh, yeah. So it's unclear, because these drugs cause dietary change. And even if you're eating actually the same foods, but in just smaller quantities, you're going to change what's making it down to the colon. And so it's hard to know if the microbiome changes really are a consequence of the drug themselves, or a consequence of the changes in diet. One of the side effects that was surprising was the amount of muscle mass that's lost. Now, typically when you lose weight by any means, about 25% of your total weight loss is fat-free mass, basically like your lean mass, including your muscles, right? So if let's say you lose weight, diet and exercise, typical, every 4 pounds you lose on a scale, one of those pounds isn't fat, actually. But with these drugs, so typically you lose, 25% of the fat you lose is fat-free mass. But for these drugs, 40% of these drugs, of the amount of weight you lose, is actually not fat. So it's muscle and other lean tissue. And now the drug company, Novartis, the makers of Ozempic, will say, well, look, yeah, but still 60% of the fat of the weight you're losing is fat. So overall, your body composition is getting better. You're losing more fat than muscle. Okay, that's true, but that's just the first go around. Remember, most people can't stay on these drugs. So let's say you lose, so 40% of the weight you lose. So if you lose 40 pounds, I don't know, 18 or so of those pounds are going to be muscle and other lean mass. But then you stop these drugs for whatever reason. You can't get it anymore. Supply chain issues. You can't afford it. Insurance drops it, change jobs, whatever it is. Or you can't deal with the side effects. You stop these drugs, and what happens? Okay, well, instantly your appetite comes raging back. And so you gain the weight back. But what do you gain? You gain mostly the fat back. And so you're gaining fat back, but you don't gain the muscle back necessarily. And so then you end up worse before, even though you're the same weight that you were before you started these drugs, your ratio of fat to muscle, fat to lean mass is worse. So if you go through these cycles of weight loss and weight gain through going on and off these drugs because you can afford it or not, then you would be in a much worse state in the end, which is part of the kind of Ozempic phase phenomenon, where there's just so much muscle mass loss That's not just you look skinnier because you have less fat in your face. You're actually losing facial musculature as well, that you don't see as dramatically losing weight by healthier means.
Right. Is there any amount of exercise that can help sort of build that up?
Absolutely. So it's critical that anyone, well, losing weight by any means, but specifically for these drugs, must start a strength training regimen the moment they start taking these drugs. And we don't have GLP-1 data, but we do have data from other forms of weight loss where we can eliminate the loss of lean mass. If you do enough resistance training, losing weight, then that 25% of fat-free mass that you lose goes to zero. So you can literally just lose fat if you're doing resistance exercise. And so losing muscle with weight loss is not inevitable, but you absolutely have to do a strength training regimen. So it's critically important for those on these drugs, particularly because there's so much more muscle mass loss that, you absolutely have to do the strength training.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Going back to what you said before, in the first year, you're losing weight, but then there's usually a plateau. What if somebody hits an ideal weight at the end of that year? Should they keep taking it? I mean, what's sort of the...
But see, they don't. I mean, it's possible, but on average, you're obese at the end. You stall when you're obese. I mean, people have this sense that they're going to take these drugs and all of a sudden they're going to be normal weight. That's not what happens with these drugs on average. Now, there are some super responders, but 20% don't respond at all. So 1 in 5 people who take these drugs, they don't lose even any weight. In fact, they can gain weight, surprisingly. But for the average person, you do have significant weight loss. And there's a small proportion that have super responders and can actually achieve a normal weight, but people must recognize that is an unusual situation. Most people will be obese when the drug stops working, and they still have to take it for the rest of their life. Otherwise, they'll go from less obese back to regular obese that they were before they started these drugs. So that's what all the trials show. As soon as you switch somebody from these drugs to a placebo, all of a sudden the weight just piles back on.
Got it. Okay. I have a few audience questions, and I know there's some more coming in as well. So I encourage anybody, especially on YouTube and Facebook, if you're watching us there, share your questions in the comments and we will take them. Somebody asked, I've been on Ozempic for almost a year. It cut my appetite drastically.
Great.
I don't like to cook, and I usually buy packaged easy food and snacks to take to work and to have at home. What can I do to start moving toward healthier foods?
Oh, well, I mean, there's lots of convenient foods that are actually healthy. I mean, I think that's important to recognize. Some people like have this sense that, oh, healthy food, oh, you got all this cooking and all this prep. And, I mean, anyone who doesn't think that healthy food is convenient has never met an apple. Literally, you can even eat the packaging. It's just like, right, it's done. It's ready to eat. And oh my God, especially if you live in New York, there's no excuse. You get healthy food all the time, healthy, convenient food. Which is already made, pre-made. So, I mean, you can dip some carrots in some hummus. It's like instant right there, right, to have a little snack. I mean, look, you can get fancy and you can take as much time to make any kind of healthy or unhealthy meals. But, some of the healthiest foods are actually some of the cheapest foods, some of the most convenient foods. And so it's really the best of both worlds.
Yeah. I remember one of the strategies that you use to keep warm in the winter, I think, is to have those hot sweet potatoes in your pocket.
You microwave some sweet potatoes, put them in your pockets. Absolutely. And now I use the purple sweet potatoes. Now, you should be able to find them. I have difficulty finding where I am here in rural Virginia, but if you're in a big city, you should be able to find purple sweet potatoes, which may have been one of the secrets to the longevity of the Okinawan Japanese. Super duper healthy. Sweet potato is one of the healthiest foods, period. And then to have purple sweet potatoes, you get some of these anthocyanin pigments found in berries. Oh my God, they're delicious. You can just, if you ever see me on a plane, you'll see me whip out a sweet potato and just start munching on it.
That's right. They're so good. Those purple ones, really hearty. Okay, here's another audience question. If I want to stop using the medication, how can I do that safely? Are there any foods that I should add to get me back to feeling well and having more energy again? What can I do to make sure I don't regain the weight?
Yeah, so you can those 5 things that cause that same kind of GLP-1 agonist activity, but through natural means instead of the drug. So it's the 3 spices plus the thylakoids, the greens plus the groats, and then go to your local public library and get my book How Not to Diet, where I talk about ways that you can accelerate the loss of body fat regardless of what you eat the rest of the time, but it's centering around the most effective weight loss diet ever published in peer-reviewed medical literature, and that is this diet centered around whole plant food. So eating really healthy and have all these side benefits beyond just the weight loss.
That's excellent. Yeah, I think, for a lot of this, the question is, okay, is the change going off the medication to this other way of being? Like it seems like it could be very stark, but what if, like, what can you do now? You're on the medication. You can start making healthy food choices now. And then at some point there's you're weaning off, or is it a weaning off kind of drug, or is it
Well, you stop it. You stop it. If you stop it, your appetite will. So, these drugs drop your caloric intake by about 500 calories, or even tirzepatide, maybe even 1,000 calories. And so, you go from eating 500 to 1,000 calories less per day to all of a sudden eating 500 to 1,000 calories more per day. And so the weight, flies back on. But, again, that 1,000 calories can just be, that pint of ice cream, and then all of a sudden, you're not even full. You just ate another 1,000 calories, and you still have supper, right, later in the day. Whereas if those 1,000 calories are in whole plant foods, oh my God, 1,000 calories, that's a massive amount of food. There's no way you're going to eat that much food. And so then you get that natural satiety that comes from, the stretch receptors in your stomach walls and all these other mechanisms. Again, there's lots of different hormones and lots of different ways your body knows how much you're eating, right? It's amazing that your body, even starting from when it hits your tongue, when your tongue, tastes sweet, it's like, oh, it already starts pumping out insulin. It's like, oh, you just ate some sugar. Even though before it even detects sugar in your system, because it kind of you kind of predict what's coming down the pike. So our body has all sorts of appetite controlling mechanisms beyond just GLP-1. And now the food industry found a way to subvert each and every one of them, right? It pulls fiber out of the food, it changes the texture of the food, all sorts of ways, adds, artificial flavors to the food. So there's all sorts of ways that the industry tries to get around all our satiety mechanisms. But, we go back to whole healthy plant foods out of the ground, from fields, not factories. Those are really our best choices.
Gotcha. Yep. We have somebody else who read your book, and they are curious because they continue to struggle with weight loss despite following a plant-based diet. What would you recommend, if a recommended time frame for being on Ozempic, just to sort of get to that tipping point? And, I guess in conjunction with a healthy plant-based diet.
So, yeah. So, it only works when you're on the drug, period. And so all the weight will come back. That's what all the studies show. Now, the only thing, there's a potential psychological benefit. So a lot of people, will come to me when I had a practice and be like, look, other people can lose weight by eating less food. I can't. No matter how little food I eat, no matter what I eat, I gain weight or I don't lose weight. I'm an exception to the rules, to the laws of thermodynamics, no matter what I do. Okay. And now it's not true. They do research of these people who claim that it doesn't matter what they eat. And it's not that they're lying, but they just don't actually remember what they're eating. And you lock them in a room and they lose weight at exactly the same rate as everybody else lose weight. That's just how biology works. Now, not necessarily weight, they lose body fat at the same rate, but their weight may not change. You could go, you cut out 1,000 calories from your diet and for 5 days have zero weight loss. You're like, wait a second, 1,000 calories, yes. You're actually losing body fat every single one of those days, but you may be retaining water, all sorts of other things. So actually the number on the scale doesn't change, but every single day you're losing. And eventually when that water weight comes off, you'll drop down to exactly where you should be based on the equations. And so anyway, but what Ozempic can do is prove to people that what they eat actually matters. So they start taking this drug, And they claim that no matter how much they eat, they never lose weight. They start taking this drug and they actually eat half as what they would before. And what happens? Something magical. All of a sudden they start losing weight. They're like, oh my God. And it shows to them, oh my God, what I put in my mouth does actually matter. Like it really, if I actually eat differently, then all of a sudden I lose weight. And I thought I was some kind of freak of nature. I'm no longer a freak of nature. Oh, what I eat matters. And now you stop the drug, but you retain that knowledge. What I eat actually matters. I'm no longer a biological freak. It actually is what goes in my mouth. And I am right now, for the rest of my life, going to make really conscious decisions as to what to put in my mouth. If that is what the drug does for you, then that drug, being on a drug for a little while, could have this miraculous psychological benefit. But it doesn't have a physiological benefit in that, if you continue to eat the same foods you were eating before, then you're going to eat that many more of those foods as soon as you stop the drug.
Yeah, that's a really important point. Thank you for calling that out. And I think it also then speaks to, I keep going back to what you wrote in How Not to Diet, which is all of the different tweaks that we can make to how we eat.
Oh, right.
I think we're often misled that like if we just have those shakes, the replacement shakes, or if we just have this low fat thing here or cut down meat there, like that one strategy is going to do it. But what I've always loved about your teaching is that this is holistic. It's about an entire dietary pattern, and that matters so much.
Right. And there's 21 tweaks, regardless of what there's all sorts of things you can do in terms of timing, in terms of, that actually matter. Right. When you eat a food actually makes a difference as to how much weight the exact same food eaten in the morning leads to less body fat accumulation than the exact same food, same number of calories eaten in the evening. That's amazing. If you're going to eat junk, eat it in the morning. Your body's better able to handle it because of your circadian rhythms. And so, those kind of tips hopefully will help people lose weight on a healthy diet.
That's great. Yeah. Someone else was asking, they've been whole food plant-based. They're not overweight, but they want to lose some weight. They haven't. Is exercise something that could start the ball rolling a little faster? I mean,
exercise is fantastic, but unless you're a mountain climber or doing some of these like military drills in the Arctic, it's very difficult to actually lose weight through exercise alone. If you change the amount of lean mass you have over time, by strength training, it's more metabolically active. Like exercise is fantastic. We should do it, period. But, it's hard to outrun a bad diet, right? You can, in 5 minutes, at the average consumption rate of calories, you can eat as many calories as you would lose as an obese person, briskly walking for an hour. So moderate intensity exercise, even if you're heavy and you actually lose more weight if you're heavy because you're moving a lot of weight around. But in 5 minutes, you can you get one piece of pizza and you just wiped out that hour of exercise. So the energy inside of the equation is much more impactful than the energy outside of the equation. But exercise is important for all sorts of other reasons, and we should all do it.
That's great. Yeah, thank you. One final question.
Unfortunately, I got to run.
Okay.
Sorry, we're running out of time. But thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Greger.
Have a great time. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. And Dr. Greger creates such clarity around this timely and complex issue. The one thing we know for sure is that the body has an amazing capacity to heal, and that when we're able to focus on what we're eating, whole, nutrient-rich plant foods, we stand the best chance of supporting our health from the inside out. So I hope you will take advantage of the many resources that Dr. Greger has offered to the community completely for free at nutritionfacts.org. And his books are really wonderful. They're so science rich. So if you're looking for those tweaks, the things that will make a difference in weight loss, please go and enjoy those books, whether it's the book on Ozempic, How Not to Diet, or others. I also want to offer up another resource to all of you here in our community. We have our Jumpstart programs. These are our immersive dietary change programs that we run over the course of a month, where we come together live online and have peer support. And it's all about getting yourself into that next stage of embracing a healthy plant-based diet. So I want to offer up some links for you all to take a look at our programs. We have an English Jumpstart that begins on October 23rd. And we have the Spanish version of our Jumpstart, the Reto Salud a Base de Plantas, which is beginning on October 3rd. Both programs are enrolling now, and we invite you to join us. You can also pick up a free copy of Dr. Greger's evidence-based eating kit, which is also linked in the comments. And I really want to thank my team members working behind the scenes to make this live stream possible: Karina Pierce, Jim Spellos, and Hannah Martinez, and Grace Simino. Thank you so much. We hope you'll subscribe to our YouTube channel or join our newsletter so you won't miss the next event. And of course, we are a nonprofit and appreciate all of your financial support. So please give generously at plantpoweredmetrony.org and click on the donate button. We hope you have a great day. And if you have any other questions, you can always reach out to us. We'd love to help you on your health journey. Take care.